Hello, hello. This is Melissa with Origins of Peace, and I am here today with you for the first session of our Empower Your Week intention setting session. So, before we get started, before we hop in, I hope you have had an amazing weekend. I hope you've had time to rejuvenate, just to relax with your family, to unwind just a bit, just to take time to consider yourself. Maybe you went out on a date. Maybe you went out and just enjoyed some time with your friends. Maybe you just hung out by yourself and just took some much needed downtime. Whatever it is that you did, I hope that you were able to enjoy it. And if you were not able to do any of those things, I will be in prayer with you that you can find a way to incorporate some self care into your routine. Okay. So, with that said, we are going to get started with the Empower Your Week session because we are only here for 30 minutes. I kind of taken this evening slow as an introduction to help you get to know who I am so we can build some mutual trust and you can get to know who I am, what my company Origins of Peace is about, and the best way that you can engage with our company. So, good evening. Thank you for joining me for this Empower Your Week session. My name is Melissa Rivers, and I am the founder of Origins of Peace. Origins of Peace is a conflict resolution company. I help professional men and women who want to reclaim their power, their influence, and their freedom over disrupting thoughts and emotions and feelings about their job, about life in general, and just about how things are going. Just reclaim their freedom over just tumultuous things in their life. So that is who I am, and that is what my main focus is. Let me tell you a little bit about my company because we've been around for a while. Origins of Peace, as it stands right now, our structure right now, we were established in 2019. I have several DBAs that I do business under as well. I have Planters with Soul, which is a custom planter company where I create these unique planters for house plants. Our motto is that we dress your house plants in style. So that's Planters with Soul. I have Agave Sweets where we focus on healthy beverages. We have herbal tea, we have lemonades, we have all kind of stuff that's really, really good. We have KD Designs, which is accessories. We have head wraps, we have earrings, we have sunglasses. And we also have Heal, Recover, Grow Inc., which is our nonprofit leg of our company. And that is where we focus on breast cancer survivors, women who've gone through divorce, and also women who've been unemployed for an extended amount of time. We help them by training them, providing skills and training in areas that will help them to re-enter the workforce feeling more confident, more empowered, and just ready to take on the next chapter of their lives, right? So that is what we do. I originally started my empire in 2011 under the name Sugar, SUGA Wellness Boutique. Sugar is an acronym which stands for Simply Understand God is Able. And at that particular time in my life, that is what everything was founded on. Just knowing that even in my weakest moments, that God was there to push me through and to lay out the plans for my life. So all I had to do was understand that He was able, even when I didn't feel like I was. So that's where Sugar Wellness Boutique was derived from. And that eventually evolved into my action plan for peace because the more coaching that I did and the more engagement that I did with others, it became all about helping people to draft out a blueprint for the next chapter of their lives. And that evolved in 2017. And then from there, we are where we are currently today as Origins of Peace. So, with all of that said, our goal for this evening, in the next few minutes that we are here, we're going to tackle some hot topics that are going on in professional settings. We're talking about microaggressions. We're talking about physical and mental fatigue at work. And all of those things, I surveyed a group before I started this series just to understand exactly how prevalent these things were because I was hearing a lot of conversation about it. But those who took the survey, out of those who took the survey, 100% of participants answered yes, that they had experienced microaggressions in the workplace. And yes, they were experiencing mental fatigue in the workplace. So, with this being our introductory session, we're going to focus a lot around microaggressions, and then we'll focus also a little on physical and mental fatigue. So, I have a worksheet that I'm going to share, and you'll be able to view that. Those who registered to receive the worksheet have received it through email already. But if you weren't able to do that, I'm going to share it here in just a second. And then I'll make it big enough for you to see it. All right, so hopefully that provides you with a good view of it. So let's start with the definitions. What is a microaggression? So, a microaggression is a comment or an action that subtly and often unconsciously or unintentionally expresses a prejudiced attitude toward a member of an marginalized group. Microaggressions are, they can be real subtle, as stated in the definition. Sometimes they may not be as subtle, they may be out loud. But my question for you is, are you able to recognize microaggressions when they happen? And as I stated earlier, out of those that were surveyed, 100% says yes, that they've experienced that at work. So let me tell you about an experience that I had in the workplace before. One of my most memorable examples of microaggression. It didn't happen to me directly, but I witnessed it happening to a colleague of mine. I felt awful having to witness this situation because I was in a new organization, still trying to find my way, get my bearings, figure out what was going on, just figure out how everything worked. So seeing this was really disheartening to me. And it put a sour taste in my mouth and really made it hard for me to trust the organization that I was in. So I made a choice not to speak up on the behalf of the person that was experiencing this because, like I said, I was new to the group and I really wasn't sure how things kind of fit together. But after a while and after it went on for an extended amount of time, I did make the choice to notify this individual that it was happening to. When you notice microaggressions toward yourself or toward anyone else, it can be a tricky situation to navigate. So, our purpose here this evening is to help you to think proactively about those situations so that you can prepare and respond accordingly. So, there are different examples of microaggressions. This is not all of them by far, but I just wanted to give you some context so that you could start thinking about these things. But microaggressions include comments about people's hair, their accent, the tone of their conversation. I've even seen it go so far as an eye roll behind the back or a deep sigh of frustration during meetings and during different interactions. It can get, quite ugly. So those are things that you can just be on the lookout for. And when they happen, just keep it in your mind that, hey, this is a preconceived judgment that's being made. And let me kind of observe and see what's happening here. So let me touch on physical and mental exhaustion for a moment. And those both are directly related to being disconnected from your work. Did you know that? So that same survey, 100% of the people stated to being 100% mental exhausted when it came to work. And then 90% of the people proclaimed that they were experiencing physical exhaustion toward their work. So both of those, those are signs of burnout. And burnout happens whenever you are constantly thinking about a project, how to resolve it, who can help you move the needle forward, meeting your deadlines, getting those deliverables done. When you think about all the things that have to be accomplished in a specified amount of time and to the liking of those that you're reporting to, it all can become quite stressful. And then, not to mention whatever else you have going on at home, in your life, the other things that you're trying to navigate, sometimes it just becomes overwhelming and a bit too much, right? So, our goal here for this evening is to strategize. So, the first thing that you can do to strategize for your week, to empower your week, is to ask yourself, what do you want to experience this week and how can you make it happen? Right? Ask yourself that. Just you can look in the mirror, you can just make a mental note of it. What do I want to experience? And what do I have already in my power and my ability to make it happen? Right? Then next, ask yourself, what strengths do you have that you can tap into? And then what values do you want to exhibit throughout the week that will help you rise above that judgment and that conflict that may occur? So I know for me personally, this week is quite busy. I'm gonna have a speaking engagement later this week. I have a deadline to complete a journal this week. I have a book being released that I need to be promoting heavily. I have a wedding coming up later this week. I have a funeral coming up later this week. There is a lot of things going on, and there's still work to be done in all of that. So, how can I set myself up to be successful knowing that I have all of these things going on? So, I first ask myself, what values do I want to demonstrate this week, right? So, with all of those moving pieces, I want to exhibit leadership and I want to exhibit authenticity. So this means that I am challenging myself to be self-aware, to be empowered, to hold myself accountable, to be assertive when needed, to show compassion. And those are just a few of the things that I want to demonstrate this week while still being true and authentic to myself. Those are some of the core foundations of true leadership. So in all of the things that I'm doing, I want to exhibit leadership and authenticity. So if I notice any microaggressions, any judgment toward me, or the things or people around me, or just things that I'm associated this week, my strategy is to stop, reflect, ask myself a few thought provoking questions, and then decide what the next steps will be. I don't want to prematurely react and react in the wrong way. So I want to stop. That's number one. I want to reflect. That's number two. I want to ask myself those thought provoking questions. That's number three. And then decide what my next steps should be. So, one very important question that I like to ask myself, when situations arise that can be kind of tricky is, what else could be true about this situation, right? So if you notice someone making a judgment or making a comment, or you hear that deep, frustrating sigh, or you maybe notice that eye roll behind your back when people didn't think that you saw that, but you really did see that, or they don't think you heard that comment that was being made, but you really did hear it, right? What can you ask yourself? Ask myself, what else can be true about this situation, right? And when I ask myself that, that opens up my mind, my heart, my spirit to other possibilities. So then from there, I can do a mental check-in. Okay, what else could be true, Melissa? They're rolling their eyes behind myself. What else could be true besides this is a shady, back behind the back action that shouldn't have occurred? But what else could be true about it? Could they be tired? Could they just be hungry? Could they be frustrated? Could they just be, in a moment of frustration that has nothing to do with me? So it's very important to ask yourself what else could be true, because what you want to do is to operate at such a high level that there is no thing that is threatening to you, right? So cover your bases. Make sure that you check in with yourself, your feelings, Your emotions, they are true. They are real. You're going to feel how you feel, but you owe it to yourself to do a check-in, to make sure that you have a clear picture of what's going on, and that you are asking yourself, what else can be true in this situation? Okay. Right. So that is where it all begins. But what I would like for you to do after this call, because we are only here for a short amount of time, but after this call, I want you to prepare your strategy. You know what? Think about the responses that you can come up with, when things happen. If you've been in a situation where things have been happening in the workplace, where comments have been, being hurled your way, or, you're just in a tough situation, use that to build your strategy. If you're in a situation where, I don't know, maybe you're not meeting a deliverable, maybe you're not meeting a deadline, what do you need to do? What is the reason? Think about it. Be self-aware. What is the reason? Why is this happening? And just take a few moments to prepare your strategy for how you're going to move forward through this week, how you're going to empower yourself not to just respond to situations, but to be proactive, in addressing these situations. So after this call, take a few minutes, prepare your strategies. You can use a journal. I bought this little notepad. It says, "Today is a new day." I love it. I love it. I love it. But I found this, believe it or not, at the Dollar Tree. And this is not an ad for the Dollar Tree, but it's just a nice little notepad where you can go through and journal your thoughts. It's not too big, so you don't have to get too wordy. You can just do like bullet points and just stick to the issues at hand. Like, this happened last week. This is how I want to respond if it happens this week as well. Or, I have a meeting on such and such date. I think it's going to be, pretty intense based on some situations that have happened at work. This is how I want to respond. Take time to write it out. And if you're not a journal person, that's okay, because you can use your phone to do voice notes. Create a voice note of your strategy. Just take a few minutes, 30 minutes or so. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out session either, because, we want to make sure that you get some rest and you're, properly prepared for work tomorrow. But just take some time to create that strategy and be proactive in your approach. So ask yourself, what actions will you take to experience the type of week that you want? So what do you want? Like I said earlier, my goal is to exhibit leadership and to do it authentically. So leadership and authenticity are the values that I am demonstrating this week. But like, what do I want the goal to be for the week? What do I want the goal to be? So my business is entitled Origins of Peace. We're all about peaceful communications, peaceful responses. We're all about conflict resolution. So of course, I want to respond with confidence, with intention, with the correct information. I want to be like fully secure and just authentic in my approach to others. I don't want to feel caught off guard. I don't want to feel unprepared. I don't want to feel like I'm the missing piece, like someone's waiting on me, to complete something before they can do their piece. I want to be proactive. I want to be ahead of the game. And I want to do that in a peaceful way. So that's what I want. And also, we're talking about physical and mental exhaustion. So I want to do it with a clear mind, an open heart, and an energized body. How about that, right? So while we're on that topic, let's talk a little bit about physical and mental exhaustion at work, because it is real. And some of the common reasons that this occurs is that, like we said earlier, burnout. Burnout is the number one culprit of that. But we're not going to go into too many strategies about that this week, because we don't really have that much time left to do it. But I did want to give you one tip about addressing those. If you are an unorganized person, right? If you have files all over the place, if you have duplicate downloads, if you have notes in one notebook and some in another notebook, if you have a ton of meetings on your calendar, all of those things lead to exhaustion, right? Because those are outputs. Those are things where you have to exert the energy out to get it done. So if you need to color code that calendar, organize those files, delete those duplicates, whatever it is that you need to do, take a few moments each day to do that this week. And that is one thing that you can do intentionally to help you address burnout. Now, I know you may hear a lot of people say, hey, you just need to take a break, take a vacation, go away for a couple of days, take some time off, and then come back feeling fresh, refreshed, and renewed. And that is true as well, but that's not always the case. We can't always do that. We don't always have paid time off or, able to leave because we may be in the middle of something very important. But that one thing that you can do is to get yourself organized. And once you organize your material, your resources, then you will see how much better you will feel, how much, more focused you will be, the clarity in your thought, in your conversations, in your actions, in your deeds, and even, around you, your environment. If your room, your bedroom, make it that safe space where you can breathe, where you can just exhale. If you got clothes all over the floor or on a chair or whatever that may be, that could be causing it as well. You need room to breathe. You need space to release. Okay. So just try to get a little bit more organized this week. Let that be your starting point to help address that physical and mental burnout. And then next week, we'll talk more about that. So, like I said, this week was just a little introduction to kick things off, to help you get to know me, more about my company, and how things will go from week to week. But my goal is to be here every Sunday at 7 p.m. I know I do have some things coming up in a couple of months where we may not be able to hold the session, but if there's not an emergency, if there's not anything pending, then my plan is to be here each week at 7 p.m. to help you strategize your week, to be empowered for the week ahead, and to show up as your best self and present yourself, in the light that you want to. Because if we're always responding to fires, if we're always trying to put out, an emergency or, respond to an emergent situation, then we can never show up as our authentic self and just be cool, be peaceful, move with intention, just be who we are. We can't truly be that. So let's do that. Let's do that. So if you don't know what your strengths are, because I think I mentioned that earlier in the conversation, like one way to address your week and to empower is to move in your strengths. If I didn't mention that, I'm mentioning it now. Do you know what your strengths are? Like my strengths are, I am a coach by nature. I love to learn new things. These are just things that are inherent in my spirit. This is who I am. I'm a connector. I like to bridge people together. I am a overcomer. I am a conflict resolver. These are just natural gifts, abilities, strengths that God has blessed me with. And I try to move with those strengths. So a way for you to empower your week is to move in the areas where you already have an advantage, right? And if you don't know what those advantages are, I invite you to take the High Five Strengths test so that you can do that. And that will help strengthen that strategy and help you empower your week even further. So on the worksheet here at the very bottom, oh no, yeah, it's on full screen. But if you send me an email to support@originsofpeace.com, then I will send you the resources for today. You can get a copy of the worksheet that is being shared right now on YouTube. You will get a link to the High Five Strengths test where you can just go in and find out what your top 5 strengths are. And that way you can incorporate those into your strategy. Okay. So that's it. That's all I have for today. I thank you for taking time out of your Sunday evening to join me. And I will see you back here next week. So stay blessed, stay peaceful, move with intention, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.